Welcome to Office Hours by Triple Ace Church. I'm your host, Carl Thomas. I'm a pastor, certified neurohealth coach, and a guy who frankly struggled with a lot of stuff we talk about here for over 20 years until I found freedom about a decade ago. In today's episode, I'm going to be jumping in and answering this question. How can I stop my wet dreams? That's what I'll be discussing today. So make sure you're hanging there with me, recognizing no questions are off the table, and I'm going to be as honest with my answers as I possibly can be, so don't get offended. Without any further delay, let's jump in. Okay, so this question came into our office hours page. I stopped masturbating for the whole summer, but after the summer, I started having frequent nocturnal emissions almost every day, and I couldn't get it to stop. I tried everything, but it was only when I masturbated it stopped. Why is it like this, and how can I quit when this is happening? I don't want to masturbate, and I can control it, but I now feel because of this, I have to. So, great question. Something that we run into an awful lot. I lead groups, and I have guys, men, 30s, 40s, who sometimes have wet dreams, and they ask the same question: Why am I having wet dreams? How can I make it to stop? So, first thing, and hopefully you've done some research on this already, but in case you haven't, wet dreams are perfectly normal. Okay, there's really little you can do about it. Mostly, it's something, yes, that adolescents and young men deal with, but adults can get them too. And it's simply just the body's way of purging old, or I guess you'd say dead semen, right? So basically, body needs to keep the pipes clean. And when you have semen sitting around for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and months, sometimes body needs to get rid of it, or feels like it needs to get rid of it. So it does. And so it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly natural. If you're not married and having sex on a somewhat regular basis, yes, if you're not masturbating, not saying that's a good solution, but if you're not doing these things to clear out the semen in your body's going to eventually expel it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, yes, I understand that it might not be pleasant to wake up to, but it's nothing to feel ashamed about, and it's nothing weird or unnatural. It is completely normal and natural. Now, you said, and I got to go off of what you just said here. There's a lot of questions I would have if I was talking to you, but you said you quit masturbation for the whole summer. So I'm guessing you're thinking last summer, which would be, what, 2 months? 3 months at the most? I don't know what summer means for you, but I'm going to assume 2 to 3 months. You don't say whether you quit looking at porn, or if you do look at porn, or if you don't look at porn. That's a big factor, right? Because if you're still looking at porn and sexually acting out, but just not climaxing, your brain is still kind of on that dopamine high. You're still looking for some sort of sexual release. It kind of complicates things. But let's just assume that you're not looking at porn, but you've quit. You used to be a chronic masturbator, and then you stopped for 2.5 to 3 months. That's great. Okay. Now, realistically, anytime you orgasm, your body releases floods and floods of dopamine, and also oxytocin, some other neurochemicals, but especially dopamine. It gets you on this high, right? It's part of the reason why it feels so amazing when you do have an orgasm. If you've been doing that on an ongoing basis constantly, your brain kind of operates at this artificially high level of dopamine, right? So basically, if this is baseline for the average individual, for the guy who masturbates every day, it might be up here. This might be baseline for him, when it really should be down here. So that's kind of important, because it takes your brain and your body 2 months or more usually to come kind of back down to earth and reset itself, and okay, hey, this is normal, right? So you could be dealing with a little bit of that, where you had a couple months or 2 or 3 months good sobriety. You haven't been masturbating, orgasming, but your body's still not fully acclimated to this idea that, hey, we don't need these releases on an ongoing basis. Also, the other thing you didn't say was, were these wet dreams accompanying sexual dreams, or are they just completely out of the blue? You can have both. A classic wet dream is just where your body has an orgasm when you're sleeping. There's no sexual fantasy involved. Other people have wet dreams, but they involve sexual fantasy. Again, if you're looking at porn, doing those sorts of things, your brain could be kind of running through sexual fantasies while you're sleeping. And yes, now you're orgasming in basically response to those sexual fantasies. That's something that you need to tackle. I would tell you this: if you go to a counselor or a doctor, which might be a good idea, depending on the worldview. They might tell you that masturbation is perfectly fine. Do it once a week, and you'll be good, right? You won't have the wet dreams anymore. And technically, that would be accurate. I'm not even going to get into the rights and wrongs of masturbation, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether once a week for medical purposes is acceptable. None of that really matters in this situation for me because you've already said enough in that masturbation was an ongoing struggle, right? So this is something that has been an addictive habit in your life. And going back and doing it, even if it's for quote unquote medical purposes, is you're just poking the bear. So that's not a good solution, I would say, especially in your case, right? Also, your body takes time, like kind of talked about this with the brain, but I just mean in general, our bodies take time to adjust to the new norm. I see this with calories and exercise and fitness, right? If you are a person who generally eats, let's just say you eat 1,600 calories a day because you're trying to lose weight, which is way too low. And then you go in a fitness program, one of the first things your trainer is going to tell you is you need to jack up your calories at 2,200. And you're going to think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And your body's going to feel full for that first month or so while it acclimates to the fact that it actually needs that many calories for your new workout regimen. And then as you work out more and more, your body's going to start adapting and it's going to be hungrier. And now you're going to need far more calories than you used to need just to stay satisfied. Okay. It also could work the opposite. If you're eating 2,500 to 3,500 calories a day because that's what your body's used to, that's what it thinks it needs to survive based on your activity level. If all of a sudden the activity level ceases and your body doesn't technically need that many calories, so you drop down your calories another 500 a day, your body's going to be hungry for a while because it's going to take time to acclimate. So could be some of that going on. I can't really find any clinical, I researched this for you, but I couldn't find anything clinical on that. But I would just say, given the way our bodies tend to adapt to our circumstances, I don't think it's a far stretch to think that if your body was used to orgasming every day or twice a day or 3 times a week, whatever, it's a bit of a shocker to now not orgasm at all. So it might take some time for your body to reset and go back to what would be a normal schedule, shall we say, for purging. I know I heard one guy, he said that when he was going through his initial sobriety, in the beginning, he was having wet dreams frequently, sometimes twice in one night. Now, trust me, that's not natural, like for a body, right? There's no reason you would need to purge twice in one night, but it took time for his body to kind of reset and realize that it didn't need to purge twice in one night. So it could be some of that. Also, I would just say you can find some of these things on the internet. Be careful, obviously, where you search, but certain things that are pretty well known. You can avoid sleeping on your stomach. For some reason, being on your stomach can lead to more wet dreams than if you sleep on your side. Some of this can be related to anxiety and stress. So try to relax before going to bed at least 1 hour. And again, talk to a counselor or a physician if you think it's really out of control. Maybe there's something physical or psychological going on there. I don't know. But I would tell you, going back to masturbating once a week or whatever just to avoid the wet dream is probably not the best decision for you, given your history. And you just need to be patient with it and understand that, yes, it's not pleasant. Yes, you don't like it, but it's really normal and natural. Nothing to feel ashamed about. And I believe it will probably get better. So there you go. Hope that helps. If you have a question for me that you want answered in an upcoming Office Hours episode, go to xxchurch.com/office-hours. Submit your question there, and I will be happy to answer it. Have a great weekend.